Thank you for tuning in to Cop with Comic. I'm Brian Kopp, and we're here with comic Kate Villa. Kate Villa, how the hell are you?
Hey, Brian. I'm good. How are you?
Oh, good. Thank you so much for coming on. I'm doing great because I have Kate Villa in the house. She is just fucking doing the hilarious shit for McSweeney's and The New Yorker. Yeah, I always thought it was Tryon Shots, but it's The New Yorker. It's their daily kind of comedy section, right? The Shouts and Murmurs, Daily Shouts Department of The New Yorker. Shouts and Murmurs. That's where you get your funny shit and kind of, it's like brief. It's pretty short, right?
Yeah. It's under 1,000 words.
Okay. Because if you can't be funny in 1,000 words or less, you don't belong in The New Yorker.
I mean, you should be funny in like 10 words or less, but that's not for me to say.
Dude, I love it. It's like their attempt at brevity. That's cool. And then because everything else is pretty long for them in The New Yorker. Do they have any humor pieces that are longer than 1,000 words? That are not in Shouts and Murmurs?
I haven't seen any, no.
Yeah, fuck that shit. That's all. It's got to be short. It's got to be short to make the cut. And so I follow her on Instagram. She's Vilified, which teaches you how to pronounce her last name, and also Yesterday's Snooze on Twitter.
Yeah.
But she's also kate-villa.com, and there we learn that she is just kind of, she used to be a big time stand-up, and now she's moving away. Now she's moving away towards comedy writing, and that's just lucrative, and she's making the big bucks at comedy writing.
Yeah. I would say big bucks would be an overstatement, Brian. Thank you so much.
But relative to stand-up, I suppose anything is big.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
But you're doing Cartoon Prez too. You do, I think Cartoon Prez is an animated series by, I think some of the, what's his name? That Colbert guy. I think he has a company.
Guy, yeah.
His company that's helming some of these animated
late
series.
Night cartoons.
Yeah, and so Cartoon Prez, you're on it. You're as Amy Klobuchar, and Elise Morales is there as AOC. So I have to hear what Amy Klobuchar sounds like, because it sounds like he's trying to bust some jokes at the DNC.
All right, yeah, no, I'll give you a little soundbite. Our Amy Klobuchar is very angry.
Okay.
I hope you don't have any delicate listeners, but I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. So, see, it's maybe not exactly a dead-on impression, but I think it works. It works
because I mean, like, it might be playing on the fact that she just cusses out all her staffers because she's I know she's Minnesota, so it's good she has the accent. But if you did her as the bland cracker she is, like, it wouldn't be that funny. So it's good you're taking her to her angry at staffers moments.
Yes. Yeah, she's I would not want to be an intern for her, but I do like her policy decisions. Amy, I love you so much. Please don't hurt me.
Yeah, and so were you supporting her candidacy because it would mean more time on the Cartoon Press?
It's actually very funny. My family did support her candidacy because they thought it would make my gig last longer. But
God bless them.
I know I have a very supportive fam, but but I did get a lot of good Amy buttons from friends and family. I have a lot of family. I do actually have quite a lot of respect for her, so I got a lot of good Amy merch from family in Minnesota.
Oh, and your family's from Minnesota?
Yeah, I have a lot of family there, so it was fun to be able to represent them a little bit, even if it was terrifying.
So how were you able to kind of get that gig? Did people know that you were doing a Minnesota accent on stage or something, or do you just try out for it thinking that, I can nail this?
Actually, no, I was working on the show.
You're a producer, right?
Yeah, I'm an associate producer on the show, and I was also, I actually was doing a Minnesota accent in my set, and somebody asked me once at the show, just kind of offhand, what if you could audition for, like, if any politician were to come up on the show and you could audition for it. I was like, this was long before Amy got in the race. And I was like, if Amy Klobuchar ever did anything like on the national stage, I would love to do her voice. And she started running for president, and they were like, do you want to audition? And I was like, sure. And I think they didn't know my work as much. So I think they were just kind of throwing me a bone, and then I got the part. So that was pretty cool and pretty fun. I
Really,
was
you
very
think just
excited.
getting you an audition was them throwing you a bone? Like they probably didn't expect you to get
I
hired?
don't know.
Okay.
That's my imposter syndrome talking.
Ah, that is so funny. Like you're a producer on a big show and you still got the imposter syndrome.
Always,
Oh
always,
my,
always.
I love to hear that. It's like I will never outgrow this imposter syndrome.
Yeah, it just keeps you fighting, I think.
Good. Well, that's how it should be, and that's why you're in Koppen with Comic because you're just a big time name. And
Oh
but
yeah, big
yeah,
time.
it sounds like you're moving away from stand up, and I think from pre-pod we talked, and it sounds like that coincided with the peak of the show. I think you ran a big show for a couple years, a big stand up comedy show, and then after it was done, I don't know if it was done by pandemic or otherwise. Like you were like, I think I've done it all.
Yeah, no, it was we ran it for 2 years. It was called Hurricane. It made the move to a couple of different venues and ended up at Union Hall for almost a year. And then we got the show into the New York Comedy Festival in 2019. And that was kind of like it was a great show. We really liked doing it. I co-produced it and ran it with Jenny Gorelick, who's a wonderful producer and stand-up. And
Oh, sure.
she we started it to raise money for Puerto Rico when the hurricane hit, because we felt like we couldn't do anything. We
The
were like,
paper
we're in New
towels that
York.
the paper towels he was
Yeah.
chucking at the
Oh my
people wouldn't be
God.
enough.
No, not enough. Not exactly to clean up that spill. So we thought, like, what can two like, you know, female stand-ups do to
Yeah.
help it sounds crazy, like to help the victims in Puerto Rico. And we're like, let's start a monthly show. And we ended up raising over
Oh
$20,000
my Lord.
in a couple years. Yeah, just doing a monthly show. We got written up in the New York Times and in Time Out.
Do you still
And
pay
we
the
got
comics then, or do they kind of agree to donate their time?
that we asked them to donate their time.
Okay.
And we gave everything. We didn't take a cut. We just
Okay.
sent everything to, we picked a charity every month and sent everything to that. We did give them photos though. So we hired a photographer
Oh, cool.
for every show and just like made sure that they got really good quality photos. And we were happy to like set up tripods and stuff if they wanted to tape their sets.
Oh,
So
cool. And that
yeah, so
photographer donate his or her time?
yeah,
And then that photographer had a photograph taken of him or her. Like,
no,
thank you
okay,
so
so
much for
that
donating your time. We are now going to have a picture of you.
no, we actually we had Sam Burris is a great show photographer, and a little shout out there.
Shout
He
out.
was wonderful.
It's
And
only because you donated your time, Sam, that we're shouting at
no,
the top
we
of the
paid
top.
him
Let
for
me tell
his
you.
time, but he did give us a nice discount for our shows since we were donating everything to charity.
Oh, good.
But it evolved over the next few years. We got to book people that we were super excited about, and people that we really, really admired, both that were friends of ours, but were also kind of big on the scene. We ended up getting, Aparna and Joe Firestone, Carmen Lynch, Natasha Vainblatt, Ashley Brooke Roberts. It was just a really
I've never
nice
heard of a
group
single one of
people.
these names. Just kidding.
I know.
But I
Oh
love it.
God,
Like
they're
you
so
saw these
indie.
you saw these people up close and you were like, yeah, I don't like stand up anymore.
No, I was more like, they're killing it. What am I
Uh,
doing here?
yeah.
No, I mean, it was really fun. We produced this wonderful show, and um, we did raise a lot of money for a lot of really great causes. And we made it to the New York Comedy Festival, and we were like, I think I need to take a break from this, just because it's like, if you're a good stand-up, you're a good stand-up for a reason. I feel like a lot of people, not you, but like a lot of people are like, oh, I could just do it.
Oh no, not
Um,
at all. Yeah, and the reason why they're so good is
yeah.
because they love it enough to kind of suffer the slings and arrows forever.
Yes, exactly. And I was like, I think I need like a shield, and I don't want any more slings or arrows hitting me for a little
Yes.
bit at least. So,
Yeah, that's why
yeah,
I do
I
a
just,
podcast. It's because I don't got no, seriously, I do not have the hustle to go to a single mic
yeah,
and have the patience to sit through, like other comics in the audience, like and these people are doing it 3 times a night. And so I have exactly the amount of hustle to do 15, interview 15 comedians every other week. That's the only hustle I
totally.
have. And that's like me going to my normal workplace, WeWork, and
Mhm.
interviewing everybody in one day. And that's all I do. Like, that's all the hustle I have.
Yeah, I mean, you got to put your hustle in the place that it feels like it's going to benefit you,
Yeah.
and if that's what's going to work for you, that's amazing. Like for me, it was like I think I want to turn, that time to writing, or turn that time to starting to outline a screenplay. I've never written a screenplay. Like, let's do some real research here and kind of figure out like what's going to actually benefit you in like when you come to the end of it, you look back and you're like, yeah, okay, damn, that was good. And
And so
stand up for me was not it.
did the screenplay get written?
Oh, the screenplay is in progress.
And so the
Yeah.
pandemic, have you been productive over the pandemic?
Yes, I
Yeah.
have.
Nice.
Yes.
There you go.
It's been horrible, but I have been, you
Yeah.
know.
And so
Yeah.
are you allowed to kind of disclose the premise, or
Oh,
don't you want
no.
people stealing
No,
it?
no.
Okay.
Don't want people stealing it.
Oh,
Yeah.
good.
It's too
Okay.
good. It's actually like the best screenplay you could. It's
It's
yeah,
like
it's
Dirk
too
Diggler.
good.
My shit is just. Have you heard me? Have you heard me? My shit is just that good. Have you read my
Yeah.
shit? Do you know who I am?
Yeah.
I have a Mindy Tucker photograph on my website. I have a
Yeah.
comedy
There it
credit at the
is.
New York Comedy Festival as a
I'm a big
credit now.
deal. I'm a big deal, man. No.
And I love it because like
Yeah.
now you have all these credits and you're like, yeah, but I'm just, like, does it matter in the screenwriter game? Maybe it does.
No. I think it's
Whether or
like,
not you
I
get
mean, I
accepted
think,
to a festival or some shit. I just had Sharon Spell on and she was talking. I think she had a TV script. It is like it turned from a one woman show or something into a TV script and just got accepted at like even 4 festivals during a pandemic. And I'm like, how the fuck does that happen?
yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
But
You
yeah,
know,
do you
I
shop it around and do TV credits matter at all? Or do
I
any credits
mean,
matter at all, like, New York Comedy Festival or a Mindy Tucker photograph?
or a Mindy Tucker. Okay, the Mindy Tucker photograph matters everywhere.
Yeah. Oh, dude, I'm trying to be the Mindy Tucker of podcasting, by the way. If I
I love
ever
that.
get
That's
it,
a great
like,
goal. I think she
yeah.
would be very, very happy and flattered
Oh,
to hear
oh my gosh,
that.
no, no, that is like if I ever have somebody I don't know and who hasn't heard me speak right now ever say that to me, I would just fucking like end. I'd be like, yeah, that's perfect. That's all I wanted. There was one
Yeah.
person on Reddit who was like, dude, you're like Jeffrey Gurian. And I'm like, oh my Lord. I didn't know I need that's that guy. That's that old guy who like interviews all the comics and he's classic. He's got big, really big hair and stuff.
Hmm.
And like that is just like the coolest thing that I didn't know I needed to hear. So I mean,
Yeah.
I got big goals.
Hey, you got wins. Those are wins.
Well, yeah. So yeah, we just have to get the Minnie Tucker thing coming out of somebody else's mouth. But so like credits don't matter when it comes to submitting your script to festivals, or no?
I don't know, not to festivals, but
Okay.
I mean, they do ask for like a bio sometimes, but I think it's really the writing, which is kind of refreshing. I think a lot of like industry stuff is very much surrounding like where have you worked, who do you know, like whatever. And festivals are really like, is your screenplay good? Which is it's it's nice. It's nice.
So it's a movie. It's a like a feature film length script.
Yeah, yeah. It's my first feature that I've ever written. It took about a year to outline. So I feel excited and like ready to really be writing it. I'm getting some great feedback. I have a writers group and they're really awesome.
Yeah,
And
that's what I got to
yeah.
know. Like when you get to Kate Villa's level, who the fuck is in that writing group?
Oh my God.
Like you don't
They're
have to
so
out
much
anybody, but
higher
like,
than me. Oh
yeah,
my God.
are they big time
I've
comedians that have been on your show in the past?
No, no. Actually, these are mostly writers from women writers from the WGA, who I am just always in awe of. We've been giving each other feedback, and it's just a really great group of humans who are this. It's such a breadth of experience too. A lot of short film writers, a lot of pilot writers, late night variety writers. It's a
So is
huge
that
group
Writers
of.
Guild of America?
It is the Writers Guild of America. Yeah.
And are you kind of part of that already because you're a producer on the cartoon series?
No, I'm actually a part of it. Brian, you have just asked me the only good story that I have,
Okay.
which is I was staffed last year on my first guild late night variety job, which means I've written some other kind of like one-off jokes or non-union stuff for a bunch of different shows, but this was my first staff job and I got it last summer.
Okay.
And I was told, I live in New York, and they said you need to show up in LA in a week. And I said, okay, I can't. Can you hold on for 1 second? I actually need. Can you give me one extra week? And they were like, yeah, sure. I was
What?
finishing up another project, and so I packed up my whole life in 2 weeks.
Okay.
I sublet my apartment. I got all the way out there. I sublet a new apartment. I was going to pick up the key. I walked in on my first day. They'd been there for like a week.
Yeah.
And honestly, I could not have been more excited. All of the people in there were such heavy hitters.
Okay.
And I was like, this is going to be the best. They were so kind. Yeah, you can hear it coming,
I've
right?
made it. I've made it. Nothing bad is going to happen.
I know. And I walked in at 9:45. I was 15 minutes early.
Nice.
And at 10 a.m., I sat down. Everybody introduced themselves. We pitched for about an hour. And then at 11 o'clock, from 11 to 11:30, the EPs took like a call from the network, and we took a coffee break. And then at 11:30, all 12 episodes of our show were canceled.
You would think that you showing up early would have mattered.
I know.
Oh my Lord! You had a 12-episode commitment, and then they were canceled.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
With all these fucking heavy hitters. And did you have any inkling as to why it was canceled?
It was a turnover in the network. I think it was like during a merger. So
good old Brandon Tarkington or one of those higher ups got a sex scandal or something.
It was definitely a bummer, but it was like they had been there for a week. They'd gotten to know each other. I had walked in and walked out. I was there for 1 hour. But
I mean, that's good and bad because you could have bonded with these people for a week. But I suppose, so that those contacts would have been good, but it would have been so crushing after a week.
Oh, I know a couple of them from other shows, and so I was we chatted afterwards. We were all pretty crushed, but it was enough to get me. The contract was enough to get me into the WGA. So that was when I got into the union. Yeah.
And so the benefits of membership are you're automatically part of this Slack group where you can like submit feature-length scripts and they'll all just read it and give you detailed feedback. That's like part of the contract, right?
Oh yeah, exactly. Perfect. No, it's a nice like subgroup of people who are just, working on TV, pilots or features or whatever. It's a really open group of 10 or 12 people. We just made it ourselves, but it kind of blossomed from the union.
So. I love it. So it's the openest closed group there is.
Yes, exactly.
Like is that via Facebook or something? That's hilarious.
No,
like
it's our it's just an email group. Yeah. Okay. Pretty low key.
And so have you been kind of providing feedback on theirs as well?
Yeah, it's been really fun to read like totally different things from anything I would ever write. And I love it. And I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe that came out of your brain. I think that's generally what I think when I read like a fabulous script. I'm like, I cannot believe this jumped out of your brain onto paper. You are a genius.
Yeah, and especially when it comes to having like a germ in your idea. Like you send them your ideas. Mm-hmm. And because you're like, I considered 100 options, 90 of them made it in. And you just thought of 20 more that are funnier than some of them. And I didn't even think of them, even though I'd been spending all this time on it.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, anytime you're in a punch-up room and you hear somebody who just kills, you're like, how do you do that? You joke machine. Like, I bow down to you.
Yeah. Like, I think that, like, that's one of the reasons I didn't go into stand-up because I, like, did the stand-up class because I thought I was going to be so funny that, like, the teacher had been like, all right, let's put you on, like, 15 shows. Yeah. And he wrote, like, he was like, well, call me, like, what are you passionate about? I'm like, nothing. And so on the phone call, I just, like, said I have OCD. On the spot, he came up with like 10 of the funniest fucking OCD jokes that I never would have thought of in my life. And I just mentioned it like 5 seconds before.
Right.
And I was like, you are as good at this as I am at other things. I have to stop now.
Yeah.
Like I have to go do those things.
Self-awareness is pretty good. Like there are a lot of people who are not that self-aware and who are still like, I'm amazing. I can do better than that. You're like, please.
I think this guy punches up gaff again and shit, and it's just like,
oh my God.
Like, I'm better at like things like minimalist images poetry. I'm a natural at that. You mean
that's a beautiful skill.
And it's just like, well, I mean, like I should just go do that then. Go ahead and just keep my money because I'm a dumbass and you're a genius and go But so I mean, like, how am I? You're not going to disclose to me, although accidentally you sent me the WGA emails, and so I'm part of that email group now.
Oh,
and so like other than that, like
everything.
How are people supposed to kind of figure out? Is it when it wins its first award at like a festival or something? Like when do we get the sneak peek at what that script is even about. Am I going to look
Oh
at yesterday's snooze or
no, maybe it'll
vilified
go
on Instagram?
nowhere. Oh, Brian, you have such high hopes for this feature. It might go absolutely nowhere. It also could be something that like I make my mom read and have her be like, "Well, this is nice," and then it goes into my box of like, "Well, mom said this was nice, but nothing
Uh,
nicer than that."
I love it. Yeah,
We'll see.
yeah. The Amy Klobuchar thing was still like the peak until this thing gets out there. Like your parents are proud of that, so that's something.
Yeah, that sounds pretty good. No, I don't know. It's definitely still in progress, so we'll see. We'll see.
Okay. So like if I'm gonna follow you online, and of course I do, like what am I gonna see? Like what's the next comedy content that is going to be consumable by your masses, your mass followers?
God, you should see my little like topical retweets where I zing the news, Brian.
Yeah? Do
I
you?
really zing them. No,
Jeez.
I I know you're like trying to get people to follow me, but man, I don't zing anybody. Sometimes I'm like, dang, George Bush, what is that about? And people are like, Kate, are you okay? And I'm like, nope. So maybe you'll see a lot of calls for help, cries for help.
Oh, good. Well, that's
My
really what
group.
because comedians are really good at that. Like during the pandemic, they've been
Yes.
great at kind of performing laziness,
Yes.
performative laziness or something like that. They're just highly skilled at that. Like some of
Yeah.
them are productive, like you have been, and some of them are funny at making their lack of productivity hilarious. Like, and I like both. Like, so I'll love your screenplay when it comes out, but also in the meantime, I'll love those people who have just been doing nothing during the quarantine.
Yeah, my boyfriend mentioned I was like, okay, so we're gonna like stay inside kind of at the beginning of quarantine. Like, let's stop going out. Like this was before it was like, don't go outside kind of thing.
Yeah.
This made that decision and he said, I've been training for this my whole life. It's the big sit. And I thought that was so funny. It was like, all right, let's do this. It's the big sit.
Yeah. What happened? Like, so that was your boyfriend who said that,
Yes,
and that was one of the funniest lines I've ever heard.
it's
I
so
mean,
funny.
current interview excluding, that's one of the funnier things I've ever heard. So what do you do? Like, is he in the comedy business? And if not, do you like be like, holy shit, that was so fucking funny. I have to go like write up 10 responses right now.
Well, he is a voiceover artist,
Okay.
so he does do like some improv when he's like doing a character or something like that.
Oh,
He's
good.
very funny.
Good.
But yeah, no, he's been an awesome person to bounce things off of because I
Good.
his sense of humor is so great.
Good.
Like when he says shit like the big sit, I'm like, I gotta say this on a podcast and attribute it to you, you know? Like this is good.
And my next guest on Coppin with Comic will be Kate Villa's boyfriend, who is
Yes.
really, really funny.
It was really, really funny. Yeah.
But no, not funnier than Kate Villa because she's on Our Cartoon President, which is on Showtime. And do you have any Klobuchar moments coming up on the upcoming episodes of Cartoon President?
Oh, that I could not disclose.
Oh, okay.
No, that's so secret. So
Or
secret.
I mean, at the very least, we're going to see, former guest Elise Morales and her AOC. Like, how often are those new episodes releasing?
I think we're releasing them once a week, and they
Oh, good.
start, I think, mid-September. So I'm very excited to kind
Okay.
of have that all come out.
So a new
Yeah.
season's coming.
Yes,
Yeah.
end of season 3.
Yeah, and you'll have to stay tuned because otherwise, Kate Villa is doing this fucking screenplay that she won't show you. Like, she won't tell you what it's
Secret,
about even.
secret. Ooh, we love a
Yeah.
secret.
Dude, but I love it so much, and I can't wait to have your boyfriend on. But in the meantime, thank you so much for coming on, Kate Villa.
Thank you so much for having me, Brian. This was a blast.